Now that we have all of our elements in storyline, the text, the buttons, and the background, and all the images, or there's only one here, we're going to animate the cover slide so that there's things moving around, because this is the first thing that the learner sees or the stakeholder sees, and you want to make sure that you want to make it as impactful and, you know, impressionable as possible. So what we'll start with is create the title, or let's animate the title. There are several ways to do this. Let's get fancy here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have the text not just fly up from the bottom, but we're gonna have it fly up from the middle. And one way we could do this is a trick. If you go to insert, let's create a scrolling panel. All right, here's a scrolling panel. And then let's move it to the bottom a little bit. Move it, okay. And we're gonna get rid of this template image that we use for reference. Let's just get rid of it so we can have less clutter. We have the scrolling panel below the background. And for this one, let's rename it so that we can call it BG image. All right, so let's make it have it above the background so we can see it. And then we're gonna drag the text, the effective leadership text, inside the scrolling panel. All right. So now, if I animate this, say I have it animating it by flying up, here's what it'll look like. See that? It looks pretty cool having it animate up. We're also going to have this animate down. It makes it look cooler. The only thing is we got to get rid of this scrolling thing. We don't want that. And the way you do that is, there's one way is make the scrolling box bigger. Okay, that's one way. Actually, we could just leave it like that. And let's bring it down a little bit. Okay. Another thing you could do is to kind of make the gaps a little tighter is the text box here. If you right click and do format shape, we are going to, let's do not auto fit. Let's make the top and bottom 0, and that should allow us to bring it. Oh, I guess not. Guess it won't. I guess that didn't help. Do not auto fit. Oh, okay. Yeah, do not auto fit. Now we could just move this up higher. If we do not auto fit, it makes the gap smaller. Okay. Oops. Let's leave that. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Okay. I don't know why there's a white line. There shouldn't be a white line. Nope. There isn't a white line. And then, okay. Let's do the duration. Let's do it. Maybe try 1.2 seconds and let's preview. There we go. That's cool. And let's also do that for the bottom one. We're going to do a scrolling panel. Let's insert scrolling panel, and let's do it for the modern workplace. We are going to drag it into that scrolling panel. Let's make it smaller. All right. And the way you know that it's inside the scrolling panel is if you go to the timeline, it should be in here, but it's not. So it's not in the scrolling panel yet. So I got to redo that. What? It won't let me. That's strange. Okay. Oh, here. No, let's hide that. There we go. Okay. See, now it's in the scrolling panel as a child of the scrolling panel. And let's tighten it up a little bit. Okay. And then for this one, we're going to have it animating down. Animate, fly in from top. Yeah, let's make that. Well, what did we do it for the other one? How many seconds? 1.25. All right, 1.25. Let's preview and see. See that? Let's see how cool that looks. We just need to work on it a little bit more. We don't want it to overlap like that. So we're going to tighten that up. Let's create, bring it down a little bit, bring this up, and then preview. There we go. Okay. Now, there's still a big gap in the middle. We can continue to play around with the spacing by having the auto text or auto fill, the do not auto fit. We can play around with that, and we can play around with the scrolling text. But I think for this one, let's do this. Let's do insert, let's do a shape, and let's create a white rectangle down the middle, okay? This one, let's right click and format the shape. We don't want a line color. Solid fill, let's do white. Align it to the middle. And then let's have this animating. Let's have it split from the middle going out, okay? Look at that, okay. I think that looks pretty cool. It's, I don't know why it doesn't look like it's centered. Probably because it's, all right. And then let's make it thinner. Hold shift up to kind of shrink the size, make it a little longer. Okay, it doesn't look like it's not centered. That's strange. Okay, it should be centered. Let's make it. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's fine. Let's preview. There we go. And I think that looked pretty cool. Effective leadership for the modern workplace. Let's bring this one, let's have it float in from the top. Let's have this one grow. And then where's that one that we hid? This one. Let's have this one float in as well. Animation, let's have that one float in. Now, right now, all of it is going to float in at the same time. We're going to kind of stagger it. There we go. Okay, let's stagger it. Let's stagger the project to show up after the title animation. Let's have that show up after. So grab it and drag it. And then the button, let's have that show up a little after the logo. And let's preview. There we go. I think that looks good. Bam, right there. I think that's a pretty cool, that's a pretty good intro. Let's make it even more jazzed up. Let's create an emphasis for the start button so that the learner knows to click it. So one way you could do that is click start, click on the button. Let's do a add emphasis. Now that storyline has a feature called add emphasis animation. So while the button is selected, let's do a pulse. Let's increase the duration to like maybe 3, maybe 2. Pulse amount low, and let's see what happens. And if you look at the timeline here, or if you look at the panel, it says emphasize rectangle 1 when user clicks rectangle 1. We don't want it. We want to do that when object enters slide. Although it might cause a little, it might get a little funky, but we can fix that. Nope, there it is. Okay, you saw that little hover, you saw that little pulsing effect? No, oh, we're missing the play button. Okay, let's preview again. Okay, you saw that pulsing effect? Now, we want it to pulse continuously and we want it to loop. Now, the way I do this is we create another emphasis. So select the trigger here, click copy selected trigger, duplicate it. Now you have the same exact trigger, except we're not going to have it emphasize when the rectangle enters the slide. We're going to have it emphasize once the animation completes. See this object event here? Once the animation completes on rectangle 1. So meaning, once the pulse completes, it's going to emphasize again. And let's see what that looks like. See? Oh no. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't, let me see. When animation on pulse. Yeah. So when the animation of the pulse completes, it's going to emphasize again. See? Okay. There we go. It looks good. Now the learner knows, it draws the learner into this particular button, or looking at this button, or to look at this button, and then it would want them to click. Another thing that we could work on is, let's create this start button to have a hover over state. So select the button, go to the states, click edit states, duplicate the state and call this hover. And then we want the hover colors to be different. So this is what we'll do. Let's format the shape. We can make it brighter. That's 1. Okay, that's 1. Then let's duplicate the normal slide and then hit selected, or not selected. Let's do, what was it? Down. When the button is down, you can do a different color. Let's do maybe, what's another color that we use? It was the blue. Let's use the blue. Actually, let's not use the blue because the background is blue. Let's just make it white. Let's make this white, and then let's change the text to be orange. Okay, let's change the text to be orange. Let's make it orange. Okay, there we go. I think there's a outline. Nope, I guess not. All right, let's preview. There we go. See? Now when you click on it, it has more interaction or user experience to that button. What else? Oh, here, we're missing a play button. These are some of the things that you always want to have in your e-learning if you have voiceovers. So go to player, and you see the player controls. You have a play pause button. Now we're almost done. We're going to preview again, and we're going to make a few more modifications. See here, the previous button. I preferably like to get rid of the previous button on the very first slide, just because since it's the cover slide, there's nothing before that. So what I like to do is if you click on the gear icon here, we can unselect the previous buttons for this one. Now when we preview, we have just the next button. But for this one, because we have a start button, technically we don't even want the next button. Just realize that. Now, to just not confuse the learner at all, the only thing they could click on here is the start button, which is going to take them to the next slide. All right. Now, we've completely designed the cover slide. One thing we can do is maybe add some music. You know, in fact, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to go to free royalty free music. And we're going to search free royalty music. Free Pick does not have music. Unless they changed it. Or maybe they do. Oh, yeah, I think they do. Music? I guess Free Pick has free background music. But we're going to go back to Google because you may not have it if you don't have the premium subscription. So we're going to go back. One of the sites that is completely free is Pixabay. That's one. And let's type in corporate. Alright, that's perfect. Okay, I typed in corporate. And we got some music. We're going to download it. Okay, we're going to drag that file over to your asset folder, wherever that is. And then go back to Storyline, and we're going to insert the audio. We're going to insert the audio into our timeline. All right, now let's preview. And you'll notice something here, which we want to not have. Okay, we got the music playing. But you notice like the timeline has moved all the way to the duration of the slide. Okay, we don't want background music to show as part of the actual timeline, and there's several ways. There's at least a couple ways to do this. The method that I just prefer just for this particular slide is we're going to create a trigger that plays this media when the timeline starts. There's also a background music option. It does get a little tricky, so we're just going to do the timeline option. So select the audio, go to triggers, insert trigger. We're going to do play media audio when timeline starts on the slide, and now you see how this audio file turned into something else. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this end timeline and move it all the way to the left. Okay, one shortcut is while it's doing this, hit the left arrow button. All right, that's a trick I learned like 10 years ago. I don't know, how it works, but it works. Now, if I preview, see how the timeline just went or finished real quick? I guess we can make it even shorter too. That way the learner doesn't think that there's more stuff going on. You can also go do to the background music option. I preferably like this option, or you can just actually hide the timeline. You could just get rid of the seek bar if you want. But one thing you don't want is have a minute-and-a-half long slide, a minute-and-a-half long timeline with no actual voiceover. That's the worst. So whatever you choose, just don't choose the option where the timeline is the music. Okay, I think we have our cover slide done. The additional things you could do is you can add a click sound on hover if you want, but it might be overkill. This is good enough here.